Something special is brewing in New Jersey. Devils in a good spot, a spot where they want to be. How does Tom Fitzgerald make the most of this situation? Implications, let's talk. Welcome, Devil fans. Glad you're here today. Hope you'll stick around. Hit the subscribe button as we continue into the off season. So, basically a month away from preseason, we kind of know what this Devils roster is going to look like. Obviously still waiting on a Luke Hughes extension. I'm not too worried about it. I think it's going to be a long-term deal. I think it's going to be around $8 million, maybe $9 million. Could go a little bit more, seeing what some of the defensemen signed for recently and last year. Kind of in his same class, a developing defenseman who has potential to be a number one defenseman on a team. So that's kind of where I look at with a Luke Hughes extension and knowing what this Devils roster is going to look like this season. Obviously, some changes during the offseason. They really revamped that bottom six. They decided Jake Allen was going to be the backup goaltender. They're going to move off Nico Daws. But what's going on with New Jersey, underneath? How are the prospects developing? Where do they feel good going in the future? Well, Stephen Ellis of Daily Faceoff did a list of prospects of each team, a ranking. Devils ranked 19th. Now, before you go and say, oh, well, this isn't good, Devils not drafting well, they're in a bad position. No, this is exactly where you want to be. The Devils are ranked 19th in terms of prospects. Well, that's exactly where a contending team should be ranked. If you're contending, you're not picking super high all the time. I mean, you look at the Devils, and, they've had a ton of top picks. Well, those players are in the NHL now. They're actually on multi-year deals, long-term contracts. I mean, go ahead and look at it. Jack Hughes got 5 years left on his contract. Jesper Bratt signed a really nice deal. Timo Meier, well, they got him because they traded one of their first-round picks and another first-round pick they picked earlier in Hischier, Dillon to make this situation possible. Nico Hischier, another number one overall pick. The Devils have found their core, okay? So when you have your core and you're trying to contend, trying to win a Stanley Cup, trying to be one of the top teams in your conference, you're probably going to rank toward the bottom in terms of prospects. I mean, go look at Pittsburgh right now. Now, I know Pittsburgh hasn't won a Stanley Cup since 2016, 2017, but they were never, top of the league in terms of prospects. When they were the top of the league in terms of prospects? When they were drafting guys like Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby, Marc-Andre Fleury. And what did that lead to? Well, they got 3 Stanley Cups out of those guys. So it wound up being okay. When you're contending and, trying to win a Stanley Cup, you're going to have maybe not the best prospect pool. And then you know what? You take some of those guys when you did have the best prospect or good prospect pool, and then you're contending. Then you're a good team. Then you have a situation where you can go Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, 2 number one overall picks down the middle. So when you get that, situation where you're picking in the top 5, where you're picking number 1 overall, you got to hit. And when you hit, you get situations like this. You get a situation where, okay, now you're contending, where you can take, one of your other first-round picks, 2 years later, trade them off, and attach another first-round pick to go get a 40-goal scorer. That's what you do when you draft well. Seeing them being 19th in terms of, prospects, doesn't mean they haven't drafted well. It doesn't mean that they haven't made good decisions. It doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad thing. No, your core's young. They're signed long-term. I know we're waiting on Luke Hughes, but when Luke Hughes signs, it's another top 5 pick signed long-term. So in a situation like that, you're in a good position. Contending teams, well, prospect pools maybe don't work out super well. Maybe salary cap, maybe not the best situation, but you have your core locked in. I mean, when you can have your core, thinking about it, guys like Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Timo Meier, all under $9 million, it's a pretty good job. I would include Nico Hischier, but his contract's coming up. He's going to get a pay raise. So when you look from that perspective, and the Devils, maybe no longer being toward the top of the draft and don't have those same type of prospects, I think you look and you're okay with it. Let me ask you, which one was more fun? Winning the draft lottery or beating the New York Rangers in a Game 7? I think it's pretty easy to answer. So the Devils, obviously they have their core locked up long term. I mean, you're looking around this lineup. It's already a tough lineup to crack. I think you feel okay. You're okay being toward the bottom or maybe, mid toward bottom of the NHL when you can put out a contending team. Now, do they need to go get another top 6 winger? I like it. I think it would work out well. I don't think going, Stefan Nason and Andre Palat in your top 6 makes a ton of sense. But like I said earlier, you're hoping guys like Timo Meier, Dawson Mercer can have better years. I mean, Dawson Mercer, another first-round pick who, has probably played better than his position in those first 2 years. Past 2 years, maybe hasn't gotten the same, not happy with the production, but it's another player who you're hoping. Another player that, you picked in the first round when you had those top picks. But at some point, I mean, you got to get out of there. I mean, you can't be picking number 1 overall, top 5, top 10, year after year after year. And that was a time in New Jersey. They're not doing that anymore. So seeing a bad prospect pool or maybe, not an elite prospect pool, that's fine. I'm okay with it. I mean, you're in a position to contend. And, when you look at that prospect pool and you think about the players who they have, some of the talent they have that they're trying to get into their system. Well, you can look. They still have Anton Siliev, who they drafted 10th overall a year ago, who, you're looking maybe to get on that blue line. But right now, that blue line, I mean, it's pretty tight. Simon Nemec isn't even in this picture. Luke Hughes is going to get another contract. So you look at this blue line, already a tight blue line. And you can have a player there who has potential of being, a first-line defenseman, even if he just finds his way to being a top 4. Well, you look pretty good. Then you look at, guys like Luke Hughes, Brett Pesce, Jonas Siegenthaler, Antoine Siliev in your top 4. Maybe they move off Dougie Hamilton. Maybe they don't. We'll wait and see on that. But being in a position to being toward the bottom of the league in terms of prospects isn't always a bad thing. I mean, obviously, you want to have some type of depth and some players who could step up into your lineup, but you don't want to be picking top 10. I mean, you want to have those players already in your lineup. The Devils have that. Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, those guys are already in the lineup, already guys who have turned into stars, even superstars. So when you already have that, you already have those draft picks, you're maybe not looking so much toward that. And I mean, another pretty nice draft pick who looks like they're starting to, develop and be really good and potential, take that role while maybe you sign Jake out of that contract and then eventually you move off. It's Mikhail Yegorov. I mean, he had a 927 at Boston University. That's pretty good. Probably the best, pretty much easily the best goaltending prospect they've had since Mackenzie Blackwood. I mean, he looks like the real deal. He's looked really good at Boston University. You get a guy like that in the second round. Looks good if you're New Jersey. But Devils ranking maybe not the best prospect pool, but, I mean, you got to think about it. Where they are right now, the young players, what type of contracts they have already with the team, what are they already doing with the team. They have a lot of homegrown talent in the lineup and producing pretty well, and they have those long-term contracts. You got to make the transition at some point. I mean, like I said, you don't want to be picking number 1 overall. So when maybe not the best prospect pool, maybe not something that, you're looking at, it looks super shiny, well, would you rather contend or would you rather be picking top 10? I mean, I know what I'd rather. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think? Is there something that you would like to see the Devils do as we continue in the offseason, almost to the preseason? I mean, we're a month away from the preseason, so pretty close. But let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys all really soon.